And I think that's like kind of segues into like how do we become better advocates? Like what can we do within this? And I think recognizing just how much of this movement and work is on our survivors and families' backs and trying to like take some of that out of their backpack. Like that's something you say a lot. I want to help me, let me carry some of that backpack for you. And recognizing that when we have somebody who's gone missing, it's the family members creating the flyers and putting it out on social media. And to me, that's heartbreaking. You know, they shouldn't have to create a flyer for their missing loved one. This is part of a system responsibility that's failing them. They shouldn't have to go out and create search parties and do boots on the ground work and engage these agencies. That's the agency's responsibility to do that and to make sure that our family members are informed. You know, there's this huge disconnect in almost every single case, I should say every single case that we've worked with our families of missing and murdered, in communications from the systems to the family members and informing them of just the process. So that's kind of where we come in, and Marianne comes in and understanding that process. But it shouldn't be on a grieving family member's back to have to become a lawyer and a prosecutor and a detective and a social media expert just so their case can have the response it deserved from the beginning. And I think those are some of the issues like we need to unpack and have more Mariannes and Starlas in the world that are highlighting this, but they're doing the work too.
I think forcing the hand of the investigating agencies. And, you know, when you ask a question as an investigator, the onus on you is to make sure that your question is understood and to make sure that the information you're providing is provided in a way that everyone can understand and not just somebody who is raised like you, who looks like you. And that's where having advocates come into those areas and assist law enforcement, because we speak a different language, law enforcement does. And unfortunately within law enforcement, because of hiring issues and training issues, not everybody has the gift of being able to communicate across a wide swath. And that's the most important thing for a police officer to do. Communication is 99% of the job. If you don't do it correctly, at the very least, it's a misunderstanding. At the very most, it's somebody may lose their life. And we've had some really good outcomes in terms of family members understanding why we do what we do in terms of law enforcement, because knowledge is power. And if you know why these things were done, that gives you power as a family member, as a survivor. And you are owed an explanation of why things are being done, not just that's because the way we do it. Because when somebody's experienced violence, and especially sexual violence, all your power has been taken away. And I look at it as an investigator, part of your job is to give power back. And if it's just in knowledge of and the ability to ask questions. Ask me any question you want. I may not be able to answer it. And if I can't, I'll find an answer. And if I can't answer it because of the investigation, I will explain to you why I can't. That takes a few more minutes, but the minutes that takes can really help in healing and help resolution and building that bridge that needs to be there in terms of a missing person case that could get passed down from generationally within a department as it goes forward. It could go from one desk to another just because it doesn't get solved. So that bridge has to be a strong bridge. And there's power in that bridge. But law enforcement needs to reach out and understand that the onus is on us to make ourselves understood. We can't expect people to just understand what we do. And if they understand by TV, that's a very bad example. It really creates a lot of issues.
Yeah, when I was listening to Marianne, I'm thinking like, you know, even stepping outside of that, out of law enforcement, and like, why are we not placing the same value on a life? And who is holding individuals responsible? You know, why are our policymakers and legislators not holding law enforcement responsible, the legal system responsible for these inequalities And so what is it that, and so again, you're right, it's about education. And it starts with the babies. And I know that sounds really elementary, but it really does. And there's a reason why someone gets a case on their desk and does not place the same value as they do another case. And, that's really sad. It's a really heavy burden for relatives to carry. Kristin knows she's carried that burden herself. I've carried it in my family. It never goes away. Grief never goes away. It just changes form over time. And so how can we be better advocates? I think one, it's willing to step into these arenas like we are today, right? And for me especially, and I've talked about this, because I know Indigenous people are at the forefront and we live it and breathe it every day and it's a part of who we are, but we need to be able to partner with non-Native organizations like Uncovered that are willing to make the space and get this information out to the public at large. Because you know what? It's going to take a lot of work for the system to change, but individually, people like ourselves, we can make change now and today. And so I'm really excited when opportunities like this happen where our relatives can have exposure to the public, and for them to hear these things that we're talking about and that we live every day and understand the epidemic a bit better, so they know where they can fit in and how they can contribute.